mild unrest and dissatisfaction amongst the people through that message. In other words, they would cause them to become dissatisfied with the status quo. Third, they would then be able to excite the people to flagrant rebellion. And finally, they would move in and take over complete control of the government and the people themselves. And what is interesting is that the first step to demoralize the people through propaganda often took up to 20 years. And it was done by putting a constant message in front of the people over and over again. Of course, at first, the message is rejected by the people as too radical and unacceptable, too obviously wrong and against their values. But as the message stays in front of the people over a long period of time, the people begin to gradually, ever so subtly, shift in their beliefs and moral values. And what is particularly scary is that after being exposed to the propaganda for so long, they don't even notice that they have shifted in their beliefs and moral values over time. They no longer are shocked or alarmed or see any danger because the change is so slow and so subtle. That is exactly what has happened in the United States. It has happened in what we see on television and in the movies. It has happened in the acceptance and tolerance of moral issues like divorce and abortion and use of alcohol. And it has certainly happened and even been influenced by the music industry. Over time, slowly and gradually, shocking messages that would have been rejected 20 years ago have gained acceptance. And very few people have noticed. And particularly our children haven't noticed because they've never known anything else. Now you may be thinking, oh, this sounds like something my grandmother or some fire and brimstone Puritan preacher would have told me. Am I supposed to believe there's actually a conspiracy of evil taking place that is spearheaded by the music industry? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that, because the facts that you're about to see will more than speak for themselves. But in an ever-shifting, ever-changing world, there really is one true and sure plumb line that we can invariably trust to guide us and give us the real story, to give us the sure truth, and that's the Bible. So we're going to use the truths written in the Bible as a guideline to help sift through what is true and what is false as it relates to music. Which leads me to say something that we often remind you of in these word picture programs. If we are going to use the Bible as our guideline of truth versus error, right versus wrong, you'll obviously need to accept the fact that the Bible is truly reliable, that it is truly a book inspired and therefore essentially written by God, and that God does spell out truth and error, right and wrong, in the Bible for our instruction and protection. So if you have any doubts in the reality of that statement, call the number on the screen, and we'll send you more than enough information to confirm that that is the clear, plain truth. But I assure you, even for the hard-hearted skeptic of the Bible, the facts in this program will testify to their own conscience about what is right and what is wrong. But the point is this: the Bible speaks plainly of a struggle between good and evil for your heart and your mind, and ultimately your soul. In fact, in Ephesians chapter 6, the Bible calls that struggle a battle, an outright war. And not unlike those KGB agents from the former Soviet Union, that battle is first waged by sending a message of propaganda out to the people over and over again. A message that shocks, at first, those who have not ever been exposed to it. But over time, slowly, gradually, it demoralizes. And the message gains acceptance, even passionate support. Let me give you an example. Think back to the very first time Elvis Presley moved his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show over 40 years ago. What was the response? Shock, horror, disbelief. In fact, the country's values and morals were so unready for that message that Presley couldn't even be filmed from the waistline down. Now, flash forward 50 years. What is acceptable on MTV today? Many of the videos are nothing short of pornography. But of course, some of you may be saying right now, oh, come on, this isn't some satanic plot. Lighten up. People were just stuffier back then. The real problem is, they just didn't know how to be hip or cool or how to have a good time. Well, sit back and fasten your seatbelts, because what you're about to see will change the way you think about rock, country, and pop music forever.
The Church of Satan has declared total war on...
Satanist Rex Church admits that Satanists are using music as a weapon of propaganda to influence youth around the world against Christ in order to establish the Antichrist kingdom on earth. Sadly, hundreds of millions of people of all ages, but especially young people, have fallen prey to Satan's seduction through music.
Satan represents the powers of force in nature, and we feel that a cleansing of the idiot ideology of the pallid, incompetent Christ is in order. And so this is something that the Church of Satan is conducting on many different avenues. We're doing this through the use of